Well, my camera's starting to lose its charge, so I'm going to have to continue this story on a future video. I can't finish it today. So I'm going to have to... So since my battery's losing charge in my camera, I'm going to have to, like I said, finish another day, and I'll try to pick up where I left off. But let me try to be very brief in what happened. You know, my cousin, who was a cop, he heard about it, obviously, from the other cops. He wasn't on duty that night that, you know, I almost got arrested in drag. He wasn't on duty, but he was on duty the next day, and they asked him about it. Because I had to sign some papers when the police pulled me over and almost arrested me. I had to give my name and address. And they knew that their fellow cop on the force lived on this same road. And they asked him if he knew a Tracy Marshall that lived out there. He said, yeah, I know him. He's my cousin. And was that, you know, they were telling him the story about them pulling me over, you know, dressed and all cross-dressed and everything, and telling him I was a cross-dresser. And so, well, he calls this relative of mine at the fire department, and he tells him fills him in on all the juicy details. And then the relative that I had at the detention, worked at the jail, he tells people, like my brother, my older brother, for instance, and, you know, he was just all over. And my brother, when he was talking to me, he told me it was all over the community. He said everybody knew about it. He said, your friends know about it, I'll promise you. So it's all over the community. Everybody knows about my cross-dressing outing that night, almost getting arrested. And some of them, even people in the community, even took liberties and exaggerated it up, saying I was wearing makeup, which I wasn't. Well, anyway, yeah, I had a couple of friends, and at that point, you know, I'd been friends with them for years. And at that point, we were drifting away. But when we probably would have went our separate ways and not been friends anymore to any real extent. But when they heard about me getting busted by the police, pulled over, cross-dressed, that terminated the friendship immediately. They really haven't had anything to do with me since. So I got disowned by some friends over that. And I had a couple other friends who came down over Thanksgiving weekend, and they were worried I was gay and stuff. So, yeah, they were asking me questions. And I said, no, I'm not gay. I was just doing that just for shock value, see what kind of reaction I could get out of those women. And yeah, they reacted so good they called the police. But those friends of mine, they didn't disown me. They were still friends with me. But the other two friends disowned me. And people were talking a lot about me around the community. All this talk and rumors going around this small little rural community that I live in. So, and I mean, I was so embarrassed and ashamed because I was in the closet. I was like, I'm not even going to go outside during the daytime. I was unemployed, so I didn't have to leave the house. It's like, I'm just going to stay in the house, and I'll go outside at night, stretch my legs, take in some fresh air, maybe look up at the stars or something. But I'm not going out in the daytime, and I did that for a while, actually. But in a nutshell, and you know, after a while it died down, and I started going outside again. But yeah, that was the story of my first ever cross-dressing outing. I got pulled over by the police, almost arrested, lost friends over it, had people around the community spreading all kinds of rumors about me. People that didn't even know me. And I don't have time, I don't have enough charge on my camera to keep going into the story. But in a nutshell, that's what happened. I got busted, cross-dressing, or pulled over by the police, nearly arrested. And my cousin on the police force told a bunch of people, including the other guy, my other relative on the fire department. And the guy at the jail found out about it. The relative of mine who worked at the jail found out about it, and it just spread all over. And I got a reputation as being a cross-dresser. You know, I'm a cross-dressing gay man. And that's pretty much what happened. That's all it in a nutshell. Like I said, it died down after a while. But that was pretty rough going for a while. Now, did I quit wearing pantyhose and cross-dressing? No. I loved it too much. But I definitely took a break from it after that. That was a bad experience. In the future, when I went out cross-dressed, I made sure not to go to my hometown. And I was more careful. I didn't bend over in front of people. And I did some more cross-dressing outings, but in different cities, and I was very careful after that. And luckily I didn't get arrested. But anyway, that's the story. So if you're a cross-dresser, if you're going to do cross-dressing, there's always a chance you're going to get busted and found out by people you know, a spouse, siblings, mother or father, kids, friends. And it can really change the way people treat you. Some people might say it doesn't make any difference. I don't think any less of you, but that's not true. There's no way it doesn't change the way they think about you when they find out you're a cross-dresser. So, if you're going to cross-dress, you have to take into account there's a chance you're going to get busted, and you better have a good excuse. You better be ready to own it and just say, hey, I'm a cross-dresser, I admit it, and confess to it, and be cool with it, because that'll definitely happen if you get busted. People will disown you, quite likely, quite possibly, and people will be asking you questions. So, yeah. So if you get caught cross-dressing, I said, you better have a good explanation for why you're doing it. Or people, or be ready to own it, because people will definitely be asking questions, wanting to know your sexuality, and a lot of people may disown you. So just be prepared for that if you're going to cross-dress. Now, I don't know, in this day and age today, that was almost 30 years ago. In today's day and age, I don't know. People may be more accepting of it than they were back then. Maybe it won't be so hard on you. Jessie Pharaoh seems to be very out in the open about her cross-dressing, and has no issues. People are cool with her. But, that wasn't the case with me back then. And like I said, just be prepared. If you cross-dress, there could be some negative consequences and repercussions if you get caught. Okay, I'm going to have to end it here. My camera's battery's low. So I'm going to have to end it here. And, I got to go